Welcome to my second Searching for Truth podcast. This week we are exploring my skin colour and I. I could have called it Me and My Skin Colour, but I made the conscious decision to go with My Skin Colour and I. That was purely based on the fact that as I did the interview, even more stuff came up that I hadn't planned to come up, but I wasn't expecting it. And it was so obvious that my skin colour came first before me. I was kind of always the more my skin colour became a problem for me, the more I just sank backwards, sank into the background, kind of lost myself. I have to say, right now, as we speak, and for a very long time, I have been extremely proud and loving of my colour. And that's because I've learned to, and learning still, to love myself on the inside. And when you do that, it really doesn't matter on the outside. But I didn't know this when I was growing up. So you do hear some of my story. But as always, it's always a pleasure to be able to bring a guest in as well to share theirs. This week it is Carmen Craig. So without further ado, please sit back and relax and enjoy the second episode, Searching for Truth. This is My Skin Colour and I. So thank you for joining me today, Carmen Craig.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
You've been doing a lot of training and a lot of personal development over the last few years since I've known you. You're a fabulous speaker. You are a fabulous speaker. You're one of these speakers that used to annoy me, actually, because I'd be there with my notes and all this stuff and like, oh, got to remember that. And you'd just be like, oh, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. And then get up there and just do this most amazing talk. You've been on a journey with regards to fostering. You've touched on it. Fostering is definitely something that I'm going to be talking about in a podcast coming soon. You've got many stories on that I know you've spoken about. You are a speaker. You've also been doing a lot of work with hypnotherapy. You've done on many courses with hypnotherapy, and I know that's something that you want to do more of, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Reiki.
Yeah, I've done Reiki. I had a friend, my friend that lives around the corner, she hasn't been well and she's getting kidney problems, and she came and she was like, oh, look at my back, I'm in so much pain, can you see a lump? And just putting my hand, just having a look and that. And she went home and then she came back and she was like, oh, because she was going to phone the ambulance. And by the time she got home, she said that the pain had gone. And I was like, seriously? And she was like, yeah, did you do Reiki on me? And I was like, well, if I did, I wasn't aware of it.
There's the power, you see. You don't even realise you got the power. So just to sort of start this off, so for me, and I think for everyone, when we're born up to a certain age, the colour of our skin is no thing at all. And my personal opinion is that that's how it should stay for the rest of your blooming life. I don't think it should ever be a thing. Just like dogs and cats. You don't see different coloured dogs mixing together. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I really feel, for me, growing up, it was quite significant, the colour of my skin at quite an early age. And in a moment, I'm going to hand over to you to share your experience. But for me, being the colour that I am, adopted in a white family, where everybody was white, even the village. I think I mentioned this a little bit in my last podcast. Everyone except me I was different to everyone. And I can remember being dropped off at a play school, infant school, and I think I was probably about 3 years old. And I think that was the first time when I felt different. I don't know. I remember feeling really, really upset that my mum had left me. I remember looking around for her. Like, where's she gone? You know, where is she? And feeling really, really lonely. And I mean, I don't know. Was I feeling also lonely and extra different lonely because was that when I first realized everyone was different to me? Did I maybe feel that they were looking at me differently? I really don't know because I was only so young, but I carry that memory with me. And I've always kind of associated that with the time of when I felt different. Truth is, I felt incredibly sad about the fact that I was different to everyone else, because I think as you're growing up, especially when you're a child and you just want to be, you just want to play,
Mm-hmm.
you just want to be like everyone else. And when I started going to school and the other children started pointing out my difference, it felt really unfair. Why is it me? Why is it just me that has to deal with this? I don't like to put racism into this because I think, and I've always said this, I could have been the only child there with ginger hair, or nothing against ginger hair, but you know, anything that's different. The colour of my skin was different to everyone else's. It could have been that I had something else. So I'm not saying it's racism at all, because it's just kids and I was different. It was only when I got older, when there was a particular adult that started being quite nasty to me, that's when I would bring racism into it. But I don't want to step that far ahead. I want to talk a little bit and introduce you and ask you the same question. Like, when did you first know that you were different? Or I suppose in your home, you know, everyone was the same colour as you. So that, for a start, was different to my childhood. But when for you was it, did you feel like, you know, the colour of your skin and not just Carmen?
So I had two really sort of significant experiences as a young girl. The first one, I think I must have been around 3, because I definitely know I hadn't started school. I'm not sure where we were living, but I was walking. I know the area was called King's Standing, and it's a very, very, back in the day, it was, maybe still is, quite racist. And my mother was travelling through King's Standing. We were going to visit somebody. And as we were walking down the road, there was a mother and her daughter walking up towards us. And I saw this little girl, and she had blonde hair, and I was just really sort of excited, you know, and you know, where you sort of skip and you want to sort of say hello. That's the kind of memory that I have of that. And the next thing was, this little girl clung to her mother's side, her leg, and she was looking, and she said, "What are they?" And I was like, just really taken aback, because I knew that she was talking about me, my mother, and my brother. There's nobody else on the road. And her mother grabbed her and sort of took her to the side and really held her closely, and just sort of looked forward and just sort of marched away. And I can remember sort of looking around and thinking, what? You know, I just couldn't, what are they? And I knew it was to us. And I just didn't get it. I really didn't get it. I didn't know racism, so I wasn't even thinking about racism. 3, I didn't know I didn't think about my colour, because I didn't know anything about colour. But I knew right there and then there was something different about me. And that's always stayed with me.
And how old were you then, Carmen?
I was around 3 3.5, because I know that I hadn't started school. I definitely hadn't started school.
So you were going down there, you were seeing this other child, and because I work with children that age, I can imagine you had a smile on your face, because it's like, it's another child.
Yeah.
Yeah, and kids love to play.
Yeah, and it was a really good day for me because we were going visiting, whoever it was we were going to visit. We were going visiting, so it was a day out. It may have been a Sunday, you know, so it was a nice day. I was really happy inside, and I can just imagine, I don't know what dress I had on, but I can just imagine it was one of those sort of dresses that sort of came out, you know, at the side sort of thing. But it was a really nice day for me. You know, I can almost see myself skipping along. I was so happy, and then that happened, and the shock of it, I was just really taken aback, you know. And then after that, everything was fine. I guess I never thought about it again, sort of thing. And then when I was about 8.5, 9, I was at school, and we lived in an all-white area. So as I was growing up as a child, we always lived, to my memory, in a predominantly white area, because it was in the 50s. Black people were just coming into the country. So, you know, and my brother and I, we were the only 2 black kids in this school. And we must have been there for about a year or so. And everybody was great. They were really nice. I had my best mates, and my brother had his. We play on the, because it was after the war sort of thing. So we had what we used to call the bomb peck. So it was all the buildings that had been bombed, and we used to play on them and things like that. And then there was this new family that moved into the area, came to the school, and he was a chubby little white boy. And we were all playing tig tag, whatever it was. And then he goes, "You're not going to be on our team." And I was like, well, yeah, I am. I'm playing with you, sort of thing. And he was like, "No, because you're a blackie." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Blackie, blackie, nig nog." And I was like totally shocked. And then a group of children moved away. These were children who had been my friends ever since I started the school, and they didn't want to play with me. So I was so upset, and I just didn't understand it. So I had a horrible day at school. I came home and went and was speaking to my older brother. And he was actually born in Jamaica. And I was like, at school, they were calling me a blackie, and they wouldn't allow me to play in the game, wouldn't let me play. And he was like, "Well, you're black." And I was like, "What do you mean I'm black?" And he was like, "Well, you're black, you're not white." And I was like, what the hell is this man on about? You know, is he crazy? And he said, we used to have wax crayons, and they were called Crayola. I used to do a lot of colouring in. And he was like, "Go and get a piece of white paper," which I went and got. And he took out 3 crayons. He took out a brown one, a white one, and a pink one. And he said, "Okay, scribble the white on the white sheet of paper," which I did. And he goes, "What colour is that?" And I was like, "White." He goes, "Okay." He says, "Now scribble the red one on the piece of paper, but very lightly." So I did that. And he said, "What colour is that?" And I said, "Oh, it's kind of pinkish because of the white underneath." And he went, "Okay." He says, "Now scribble the brown on the white piece of paper." So I did. And then he goes, "Now, which colour are you?" And I looked, and I was like, "Well, I'm that colour, the brown one." And he goes, "Yeah." He says, "You're not the same as the friends at school." He says, "Which colour are they?" And I was like, "Well, they're not white, a kind of pinkish. He was like, yeah. He said, so that's it. So that's why they were calling you a blackie and an ignog, you know, gollywog, you know, because you are not their colour. And that was the very, very first time that I really understood that I was very different with the colour of my skin. And obviously I knew, because my brother and I, we were the only black children there. So I knew that I wasn't the same, but I'd never ever been shown difference.
Well, I suppose you knew, but I suppose to get that sort of not quite horrible feedback from your friends, I guess until then, it's not a problem. Because
Yeah,
if we
you
can
don't
all
think
if we
about
can
it.
all accept each other as we are inside, then it's not a problem, is it? And
Yeah.
it kind of breaks my heart when I hear you talk that story, because, you know, especially as I work with children, and 8, 9 years old is such a vulnerable age. You know, you're crossing over, you know, into worrying about what other people think about you, and that can be have a big impact on your anxiety and confidence, and, you know, and the rest of your life, if not
Mm.
contained and dealt with. So to hear you share that story is really kind of hurt. It hits my heart, because it's like, I mean, how did you feel? How did you feel after that chat with your brother?
I think I was just in total shock. It was shock. I wasn't angry. I wasn't, I guess I was upset, but it was more the shock of knowing that there was a difference in me which made children not want to be my friend, you know. And that difference was a colour that I'd never even thought about, really hadn't. And I remember when we first moved into that area, my dad, we used to have a little park just about 2 minutes away from the house. And he used to encourage my brother and myself to go to the park, and we never wanted to go. So he used to come with us. But there was always this, I know as kids, when you move somewhere new, you're always scared and nervous and things like that. You haven't made friends. But I think looking back, there was this little bit of maybe coming back from when I saw that little white blonde haired girl who was like, what are they? Maybe that was somewhere way in the back. So I didn't want to go to the park on my own, just in case. I know that it sort of had an effect on me, because to be 3 years old, going on 4, and to remember that, you know,
Yeah.
it definitely had an effect.
Can I just say, Carmen, I've got to say this because I know people will be watching this, you're talking about the 50s, and when you look absolutely fabulous for your age.
Thank you.
As they say, what is it? Black don't crack.
Thank you. So can I cut in there and say, I had my grandson, he stayed over last night, and he's like 16. And he was saying, oh, Nan, we were watching TV. I'm sure we were watching TV. I'm sure I wasn't reading. And I could feel his eyes on me. And I turned around and I was like, what? What's your problem? And he was like, Nan, you look so good for your age, you know. And I was like, thank you. And he was like, no, I went to my friend's party and their parents were all younger than you, and they looked old, man. They looked old. They looked good.
Well,
Yeah, thank you for that.
No, you do. And yeah, like they say, obviously, I think our colour helps with that. But I think also a big part of keeping ourselves looking young on the outside is how we feel about ourselves on the inside. And during this podcast, I do want to sort of touch on that as well. Not yet, but I do want to really, because I think that's a big part of what we're talking about. And I think we've even kind of gone there a little bit with, you know, as children, if only it could just stay that way, and we don't, it doesn't become an issue. So yeah, so same as for me, from a very young age. And then for me, as you get older, I'm sure you can vouch for this as well, children get more cruel, really, don't they?
Mm.
I found in secondary school, high school, I found that really hard. Found it really hard leaving and going there. I felt my self-esteem and my confidence just went. I mean, I don't think it was very high anyway, to be honest, but it secondary school, because
Yeah.
yeah, kids are horrible.
Well, for me, it sort of started before secondary school, and it wasn't really with the children, it was with black adults. My youngest son, he's what, 32, and he was like, "Well, I think you're being racist, Mum." And I was like, "Oh, please." He said, "Yes." He says, "You're black and you should be proud of it." And I'm like, "Well, under the umbrella, yeah, I'm black and I'm proud." I says, "But the reality is, I'm a brown, dark skinned woman. And when I think about it, I know we may go into this later or bring it up later, but when we're looking at colorism with amongst our own people, because you're my people, you're brown, yeah, I'm brown. I think when the word, like for instance, you say that you're black, yeah, because you're under that umbrella.
Mm.
But for me, I'm like, you ain't black. I know what black is. You ain't black. Do you know what I mean? So it's easier for me personally. I'm not talking for the world out there because each person is different. If I can say, oh, well, my friend Donna, and if colour was to come up, oh, she's, light brown, she's a lighter brown than I am. I'm a darker brown, But when you say black, it's like, I don't know, there's this picture of dark skinned people
Mm.
as opposed to light skinned
Mm.
people. That there is this difference, and for me, it doesn't really fit very well under that umbrella. We're all black because, I could more or less say that, well, you're white and you have the privilege of a white person. Do you know what I mean? So where really does the black come in? You, on the other hand, can say, well, I'm black because, I've experienced this from white people and I haven't had that privilege because they know that I'm mixed. However, for me, I'm like, well, yeah, but it's only a little bit compared to what I get.
Mm-hmm.
You go further than I could go because of the lightness of your skin. So that's why I prefer to use the word brown. And to be truthful, I really, really love the color of my skin. I love my brown. It, I look in the mirror and I'm like, yeah, that's a nice brown. But I grew up with people not liking it, telling me how I was black and I was ugly. And I've had to work through that to really embrace the color of my skin. And it's like, now that I'm embracing the brownness of my skin, it's like, well, why do I want to use the word black? You know, Not because I'm against black, but I love the brownness of my skin. I think it's beautiful.
Wonderful that you can have that kind of, you can look in the mirror now and go, I'm beautiful. I love the color of my skin. And I wonder how many more people out there actually really do genuinely feel that about themselves.
I think it is hard because as much as I think the reason why I can sort of accept the color of my skin now is it is coming from within because I'm very much in love with me, you know, Carmen, you know, the person inside.
Oh,
So
sorry, I feel myself getting all emotional there when you said that. I love you too. Yeah, carry on.
so
Yeah.
I know that I open my front door and I go outside, and people don't love me, and they don't love me because of the color of my skin. Yeah. However, if they took the time to get to know me, and when they do, then I'm a wonderful person. But that's because they've got to know me, that, you know, the inner me, you know. So I think because I'm in love with my inner self, it's allowing me to love the brown skinned girl on the outside. So I've always loved the girl on the inside. Well, not always, that's a lie. But as time's gone by and I've been working on myself, you know, I've grown to love the inside Carmen. But the outside Carmen, because of the colour, I never really used to love. I hated it. You know, my nickname at school was Blackberry. I hated it. Why did I have to be Blackberry? And all my friends were black. And that was the name they chose for me. It wasn't that I had all white friends when I got to my senior school.
Well, what were
And
they called?
I can't even remember, but their names were much nicer. It wasn't even names that was sort of connected to a colour, but my name was
Is
connected
that
to
because
my
you were
colour.
darker?
Yeah, I was the darkest out of all of them, you know. And once again, it was like my colour, you know.
See, when you were telling me that story before, I didn't realise that they were black friends.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't. When I went to senior school, I didn't have. I I'm quite fortunate in so much as I've always, because I grew up as a young child in a white area, so I've never found it difficult to mix with white people. So, you know, I've always spoken to white children, white people. I'm very relaxed with that. But my friends were like my family. So my family were all black. So my friends, when I got to school, were all black. And that was the name they chose for me.
Mm.
And that did hurt.
Mm.
You know, I didn't like it and I didn't embrace it.
Mm. What was really significant for me was when I left the village that I lived and grew up in quite an early age. I'd had enough, Carmen. I was like, I cannot take this anymore. I mean, the icing on the cake was I had a black boyfriend from the inner city, and I was walking him to the bus stop in the village that I lived, and a guy behind me was going, National Front, behind us. I'm laughing now, but I wasn't laughing then. I got my boyfriend on the bus, and he looked at me and he went, I don't want to leave you here. He said, I can't believe what you're dealing with here. And then the bus doors closed and he went off. And that's what I was dealing with, you know. And yeah, I'd had enough. I was convinced that London would be the place to be.
Multicultural London.
Yeah, come on. I mean, there's going to be more people the same colour as me for a start. I'm not going to feel like, you know, the odd one out. I'm not going to stick out, surely. And the thing I want to talk about is I remember quite soon on being in London, sitting on the train, on the tube, minding my own business, and two older black women on the other side to me were under their breath talking about me, but loud enough for me to be able to hear. They wanted me to hear what they were saying. It really hurt me. I had to get off the tube. And I remember standing and it wasn't my stop. I wasn't getting off. That's not where I was going. But I just couldn't believe what I'd just experienced. I just couldn't. And I wonder whether that standing on the platform, I don't know if I was crying. I was definitely crying inside. I don't know if I was physically crying outside. But inside it was like, where well where do I belong then? But I do feel that that was the start of a very long journey of awakening, to getting to know who I am on the outside.
I was just wondering, because I never really asked you before, but so my parents are both Jamaicans. They were both Jamaicans. And my extended family, not Jamaicans. Yeah, my extended family are Jamaicans, and the people that I grew up around, my family friends, they were Black people. So even though I was receiving this colour issue from them, I was still, my mum and dad were still the same colour as me, you know? I still got my comfort from them as Black people. What was it like for you? You know, because your mum and dad were both white.
Yeah, I remember I had a really bad time, and if my friend Jill, she lived 3 doors away from me from when I was 2 years old, and she's still a really good friend today, and she felt helpless in this. I'll never forget it, but I was really badly teased one night. I remember having chips thrown at me. It was across the road from the fish and chip shop, and they were throwing these chips at me and calling me names, and I remember just running home, and I can't hello. And my friend Jill was running after me going, Donna. But she, bless her, I love her to bits. And I remember going home and just sobbing to my mum and dad, I don't want to be here, I don't like it. And my mum said the best thing she could have ever said, really. She says, Donna, I know I will never know how you truly feel, but I love you, and I'm so sorry that this is happening. And I'll never forget that, because it's true. She could never, ever really understand what I was going through, because she'd never experienced that. And I really love and respect my mum for that, because I remember it. And I know that it was like just sort of empathizing with me was what I needed. Yeah, it was tough, and that's why I touched on this in the last podcast. I used to daydream a lot. I used to daydream, and I used to wish, please, can I have, I mean, my mum and dad fostered children, so I used to beg my mum, can you foster more children, please? A child, just one, the same colour as me, please.
So when we were fostering, I got into fostering because they were looking for family of mixed parentage. So with me being Black and being white. And I thought that I was going to have predominantly Black children or children of mixed parentage, because that's what they were advertising for. But throughout the time that I was fostering, I had predominantly white children, which really used to frustrate me, because I used to think, not that I didn't want any child, I welcome, but I'm thinking, well, where are the Black children going?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm having white children, where are the Black children going? And for me, for a white person, a white child to be in a Black home, I don't really see that as much of an issue, because the society is white. Mm-hmm. Everything around them is white.
Mm-hmm.
Tea is white. The shop assistants are white. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
But for a Black child, I've always felt that as much as possible they should go into a Black home, because there's less Black.
Yeah.
Blackness
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
What what that you were there.
Yeah.
With the home so significantly Black and white, and you and I both know that there were children out there.
Yeah. So many.
So
But
what
they
on
gave
earth
me
were they doing?
predominantly, really, I had white children or Asian children. I think
That makes no sense.
maybe I had around 5 black children that I can remember, you know. But it's really weird as well, because I remember when I first went to Jamaica, I was about 24. So, and I got off, I was really excited. I'm going to my mum and dad's country, all the stories that they told me, so excited. I got off the aeroplane, got into the airport and almost died because everybody was black. Everyone was black. And then when we got into the city, it was like black shop assistants. You turned on the TV, there were black people on TV. I was like, wow, I've never seen anything like it.
Was it like a different world almost?
Honestly, it really, really was. I just couldn't believe that there were so many black people. And I was shocked that black people had positions, you know, of power, or, you know, they were bank managers and they owned their own shops and little things like that, because you don't see that in Britain. You know what I mean? So, and I was 24 at the time, so I was totally shocked. I think that I'm going off a bit, but there, we went into a supermarket and there was this Chinese, the owner of the shop, the supermarket was Chinese, and it was a woman, and she'd called, I don't know if it was her husband or somebody, and I don't even want to try and do the patois, because even though I'm dark brown, I can't do the patois. But she was like, Mr. Chin, where you do? And I'm like, huh? You know, and then she came out into this patois lingo, and I was like, oh my God, she can speak patois and I can't. To the hospital, because one of my cousins had a baby and there was a white doctor there and he was speaking patois, and I was like, what is going on here? You know, that was lovely. That was really, really nice. It is nice. I think it's nice to be around lots of black people, because I don't really get that in England. And the majority, I wouldn't say the majority, no, the majority of my friends are black. However, I do have white friends. I grew up in this country, so, you know, I have white friends. I went to an almost white school as I was growing up. And
so I mean, it's like, I just want to, just popped into my head this question, like, how's it feel when people say go back home?
Do you know,
I used to get that a lot when I was a kid.
Your colour thing was more on racism, because you got it from white people, whereas my colour thing was more of a colour thing, because I got it from black people. I very rarely, apart from those 2 incidents, and there's another incident, well, 2 more incidents that I can remember, which were from white people, I never really experienced any colour issues from white people. I didn't. Nobody, if a white person looked at me, they would always be commenting about how beautiful my colour was. You know, oh, you've got beautiful skin, or oh, your colour is so lovely. Oh, I'd love to have your colour. And I'd be thinking, yeah, really, you know. So from the white side, it was always very positive about my colour.
Apart from when you were young, what you talked about,
you know, but from the black side, it was always negative. I was black, I was ugly, look at your broad nose, you know, nigger hair, nigger lips.
Well, we are who we are, and we need to just love ourselves and embrace who we are on the outside and love ourselves on the inside.
It seems, for me, I'm quite a positive thinking person, but we all have our pessimist side. And it would be great if people could do that, you know, just warm to it. And I think it is really an important thing. And I think maybe one of the reasons why I do have issues. I haven't got over a lot of my issues. I do have issues with the world outside and the way people view me, you know. But I think it's so difficult for people to love, you know. Do they understand what love is? You know, maybe
Well, that's the thing. Yeah,
don't,
maybe
you know.
they don't. I mean, that's why it's so
So something
difficult.
like this, yeah, is great.
Yeah. And I love that we are coming to an end talking about love.
Yeah.
We did an angel reading. We did it together, didn't we?
We
So
did.
they were there. They were here. They were here because we were, you know, we knew what we were here for. So the angels know exactly what we were asking. I very, very rarely get the archangels, and we got Archangel Michael, Archangel Uriel, and then we were looking them up, what they all meant, and just get my book. And we got Archangel, sorry, the Angel of Mercy, and I've just looked at my phone, and it's 1331. So that's another little angel significance there. Some people might watch this and think, "Oh, I love all that what Donna's doing, but I wish she'd stop going on about the angels." It's like, I'm sorry, but the angels are a big part. You know, they've been a big support for me. But Uriel helps us to find our inner light and to become as radiant as the sun when we express the fullness of the love and beauty within ourselves.
So true.
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
yeah. And Michael, you get Michael quite a lot.
Yeah.
It means a lot to you. Yeah.
Well, kind of. You know, I wish his name was something more exotic, but I'll make do with Michael. That's what the name is. So, but yeah, I do get Michael. Michael.
Well, this is great. I mean, the gifts for Earth from this is a little description of Archangel Michael. He can help us to stand strong in the face of adversity, resolve our personal negativities, find strength when we are alone or feeling like outsiders. I mean,
yeah,
come on.
Yeah, and I was there when you plucked them out.
That's so significant. Yeah, so just so people know, I'm not just like pulling them out
Yeah.
going, oh, that would sound good on this.
I saw you shovel.
And then we got the Angel of Mercy as well, which, you know, that's significant. But then the overall card, which I do like to do an overall card, which is usually once I've kind of given the cards out, I'll always turn the cards over. And the card that's at the bottom, I find, is like an overall of the overall reading. And I got this last time, freedom. Freedom.
Wonderful. It would be so wonderful to be free of all of this negativity, all of this racism, colorism, just to be who we are, you know,
and embrace
true
that.
freedom.
Yeah. Is there anything, obviously we've talked about skin color, that's been like the main thing. Is there anything that you want to share before we finish this recording, anything that you think we might have missed?
I can't really, there's so much, so, you know, nothing really that we've missed because it's such a broad subject, you know, but for people who are out there, for people of colour who are out there and are struggling, I think knowing that you can work on yourself, taking the time to work on yourself in whatever way. I mean, you do meditation and you do mindfulness. I don't really do those things, but then I know other people who do yoga, you know, so it's about finding a way to work on yourself.
Can I just say there, sorry, Carmen, do you think, obviously 4 years ago when I met you, we were practicing becoming professional speakers, sharing our stories. I mean, the amount of, we've still got really good friendships with a lot of people in that group because we
Yeah.
shared our stories. Do you think that helped you sharing a little about yourself and standing up and sharing that? Because I just felt then that some of these, you know, if we could sort of, I've always said to like younger people, especially like domestic violence victims and stuff, like one thing that's really, really healing and helpful for yourself and for others is sharing your story, actually getting it out there. Do you think that
I think
helps?
the sharing definitely, that is what opened me up tremendously. I started by going to university, and I was, they used to call me the mouse. I didn't have a voice. You know, I was so shy, so scared. I used to sit in the corner. I didn't want to join in. I was so nervous. So the journey started there because I had to do a little bit of sharing whatever it was I was studying. But definitely when I got to speak up, it was fantastic. It gave me power. I had a voice. I could stand up in front of a crowd of people. And as you know, it was always about, you know, some experience that I've had in my life. And being, it's like a release, you know, it's a releasing, and, you know, it's come out, and that's one less thing that you're having to deal with. And you feel good about yourself for saying it.
And to
You know,
have, you know, everybody is a big part of speaking training is you supporting everybody up there. So, you know, you're getting that round of applause, you're getting praise for it. So the
yeah,
first part of it is acknowledging what you're going to say, being aware of it. Okay, I'm going to talk about this. Therefore, I'm acknowledging it.
yeah,
I'm now getting it out. And like you say, that is empowering, just so that it's like a process, isn't it? It's like
yeah,
it's a real healing process.
yeah. And the thing is, you don't even know it's, well, I didn't know it was happening. You know, it's only now looking back and seeing where I was and seeing where I am today. And, you know that even though I get really sort of shy, um, I love talking. I just love it. You know, I love putting some information out there. I have a cousin, you've met her, she's a reverend. And she used to say to me, I can't remember the name of this American guy, but there's this American activist. And she used to say, oh, I can just see you up there with this American activist. And I used to think, don't be ridiculous. And then years later, I'm on the stage talking to 100 and odd people. And it's like, yeah, it's just wonderful. So I think, you know, if people can think about, you know, working on themselves, you know, finding something that they can work on. It doesn't matter how small it is. You know, when I went to speak up, all I wanted to do was to be able to say hello to somebody at the bus stop and have a conversation, because people would always come up to me at the bus stop and talk. And I used to shake and I used to say, please God, let them go away, let them go away. I don't know what to say, I don't know what to say. And when I went to speak up, that's all I wanted to do, just to be able to have a conversation at the bus stop. Now you can't shut me up. I'm the person at the bus stop. Wow, hello, how are you?
Well, what is it? What is
going?
And you said to me the other day, a little while ago actually, and it's you've gone from that to, what was it? You were walking down the street and a girl walked by and you went, oh, you've got such lovely titties.
Yeah, you know.
And I just think you can't get more confident than that. Just like, yeah, you know, embrace it, and just like, yeah, you see a woman and she's got some good boobies, you know, tell her.
Yeah,
you know, and then that's how you've gone from shaking at the bus stop, like, don't talk to me, to like telling someone how wonderful their boobs look. I love it.
Because I know it's really important, you know.
Yeah.
As women, we appreciate that coming from another woman, as opposed to it coming from a man.
I love that.
You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, when I see a really nice looking woman, her clothes, her hair, her figure, whatever it is, I want them to know, you know, and I'm really, really glad that I'm confident enough to say that and not worry about them going, pow, how dare you.
And I guess it's how you say it and how it genuinely comes across, which, you know, you are. And I think people will pick that up straight away. You're so genuine and
Because
honest.
sometimes you get little conversations from it as well. You know, they'll go, really? And I'll go, yeah. You know, hasn't your man told you?
Well, I was talking with Kathy in the last podcast about that, about, you know, owning it, accepting compliments, taking it, stop throwing it away, just take it and go, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, because deep down you might have like wore that top because you think they look pretty damn good. You know, so to have that acknowledgement is like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, go out there and, you know, do little bits of work on yourself. Love yourself. You know, kiss the mirror. I used to always do that. Actually, I think I'll do that after we get off this podcast. Yeah, kiss the mirror. Kiss myself. But I haven't got any husband now to kiss me.
I love how this has come back to like what we were talking about in the last one. That's amazing. Like mirror work. Brilliant. Yeah. Do you do that then? Do you do mirror
I do.
work? Yeah,
I do. I kiss the mirror. I get my grandchildren to do it. You know, stand in front of the mirror, tell yourself that you're great, tell yourself how beautiful or handsome you are, and, you know, do it and feel it and do it, I said. My granddaughter doesn't have a problem with that now, you know. She actually none of my grandchildren do. They just love themselves, and so do my sons, which I'm really pleased about, because when I was growing up I didn't love myself, you know.
And you have got such a fabulous relationship with your boys and your grandchildren. And I've met a couple of your boys now, and you can just tell that you've done that. You've done that. I love you, Carmen.
I love you.
Okay, so we're going to go now. And thank you very much. No doubt you'll join me again. Would you join me again at some point?
Sure, if you'd like me to come and talk about the rubbish. No, of course I would love to. You know, if you invite me again, I definitely would. And if people like what they hear, that would be nice as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Lovely.
And if there's any mature men out there and they're looking, I'm single, I'm free, you know,
and you're beautiful. And you're beautiful.
I'm beautiful.
You really are. Your beauty on the outside and the inside has definitely radiated out. So you just, I don't know, that might actually come to something there. You've just put yourself out there, babe.
No, I'm only kidding.
No, you're not. Don't take it back. No, you're not. I know you're not. Oh, Carmen. Mwah.
Love you.
Love you.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.
Bye. That's the end. So there you go. Carmen Craig and I exploring my skin colour and I hope you enjoyed that, and most importantly I hope you got something out of it. And if you think of anyone out there that you think might get something out of it, please do share it with them. I'm open to really just opening this up even more with other people's truths, other people's stories. You know, it's really important, as Carmen said, and it's a real big healing process as well. So please do get in touch with me if sharing your story along these lines of what we've talked about today with skin colour. Please do share, because you just don't know who that could make all the difference to. So that's it for this week. Oh, by the way, in order for you to get in touch with me, just email searchingfortruth, all letters, DJ @gmail.com. That's all from me to you. Have a lovely weekend, a lovely week, and I'll be back soon with my next podcast.